Well, I'm with Nick Buckfield down here at Henley. We meet lots of different athletes at these events, but I think you're the first pole vaulter I've ever met doing a long distance race. And also, not just a normal pole vaulter, if there is such a thing, but an Olympic pole vaulter.
Yep.
So how have you ended up here at Henley?
Oh well, basically I finished my career from an injury, ruptured my Achilles, and I had a friend who I treat as I do sports massage, and he basically said, would you do a sprint for me and hand out some medals down in Brighton. It was an urban race, so that was 3 years ago, and I did that, and I needed 2 weeks of training for the event, and I got hooked. And I asked him straight after, I said, so what's the hardest distance? What's the hardest? I didn't know anything about it. And he went, Ironman. I was like, what does that entail? And he told me, and I, in a strange way, I just went, oh, yeah, that's doable. I could do that. And it stayed with me, for, well, 3 years. And I did an Olympic, I did 2 halves, and I was just hooked. I just got hooked, and I just thought, you know what, at some point in my life, I'm going to have to do this. And I spoke to a friend of mine, Chris Min, who sponsored me to basically do this from Net Candy. And as far as I know, when we had this conversation last year, I get an email saying, confirm that I've been entered for the Henley Challenge, and I just went, right then, okay. But yeah, so that's how I got into it. And obviously I'm a tri-club at Crawley, so I've been doing little bits and pieces, obviously training a lot more this last year, and it's very diverse. Going into the spectrum, I went from an event that lasted 8 seconds to something that's going to be taking me hours, but I've really liked the challenge, and I've found out a lot about myself within the training and everything out in the duration. And also, I've done a few events, and the atmosphere and the camaraderie between all the athletes and that, it's just brilliant. It's just phenomenal.
And you stopped pole vaulting due to an injury, and I assume that's obviously cleared. Has there been any issues with that when you're training?
No, I mean, I had a complete rupture, so I had surgery, and it took me a long time to come back from that. I tried to come back to my event, it was from the point of when I did it, it was 7 months till I was jogging. It's a career-ending injury, but the fight was still in me. I tried to come back and it didn't happen. You lose a little bit of elasticity, a little bit of wastage of the calf, doesn't really come back. And because I was 34, I wanted to still be jumping until I was about 38, because I always kept myself in really good shape. But yeah, and it ended my career. And as any athlete, I did that for 20 years, and it was sad. It was a sad moment when I retired. I had an end of competition at where I live in Crawley, and I needed another focus. I couldn't just train, that wasn't me. I needed another focus, and it's obscure, because it was, I remember treating the guy that got me into the triathlon, and I remember him coming back from a 6-hour bike ride, and I remember seeing him in the gym, and he was totally gone. And I come out, and I remember I said, I'll go and get something. I said, well, what have you been doing? And he said, I've just been out. And I looked at him, when I first looked at him, I went, 6 hours? Are you mad? And what have I been doing this year? So, it set a seed back then, and I know it's going to be tough tomorrow, I know it's going to be painful tomorrow, and in a sick way, I'm partly looking forward to that. And also I got a lot of support, and they've really helped me through things. And also it's partly to do with my dad as well. I lost my dad when I was 12 to multiple sclerosis, and when he died, he gave me something. It was something always to prove to him, and he never saw any of my achievements through my athletics, because obviously I didn't really start competing really well until I was 22, so there was a long gap between that. And part of that inside me is for him tomorrow as well, so it gives me a little bit more motivation, because this isn't about me and that, it's about the people that have helped me. Net Candy, my family are coming up, and about my dad, really. So it's a private battle, within that, and I can't think of a better place than here to come and do that. So yeah.
Well, it's quite a story, And
yeah.
I mean, in terms of your training, is there a particular discipline that you found easier than the other, or?
As in picking up, I mean, the running was always going to be, because I did, in the winter, I mean, even as a pole vaulter, I mean, I would do 45-minute hour fartlek type of running, so the running hasn't been a problem, it's just been the duration. I had a little bit of problem with my, the Achilles that I injured, the calf, because I've only got probably about 80% the same size as the other one, and that picked up a few little niggles. So on the longer runs, when I started getting up to like 2.5, 2.25, nearly 3 hours, that started to, so I had to back off a little bit. But I really like the bike. And actually, I've been doing my open water swimming, and this year, for the first time, I've actually started to enjoy open water swimming, because I have to be honest, the swimming's been the hardest, and just from a point of just technique and everything else. But I put myself in the deep end with Crawley Try, and I was hanging off the back. They made me work, and I've actually enjoyed the swim, but I have to say probably the biking's my favourite, and that, just with the time and building, just what you see when you're out on a bike, it's just beautiful. I'm out in the country in West Sussex, it's lovely. So I know the swim's going to be my warm-up. The bike will be, it'll be hard to the back end, and the run's just going to be punishing. But at least you can walk if I needed to walk on the run. In the swim, you still got to tread water and move, so. But I would say probably, I enjoy the bike. I really enjoy the bike. It was something that, and just with the group of guys that I have been going out, I've done a lot of stuff on my own, to be honest, but I always trained on my own. So, the mental ability, I thought, well, I'm going to be out there on my own. So, from that point of view, it will toughen me up. So, but I respect anyone that does this, even a half. I did a half, and when I did my first half, I was in bits. And I remember crossing that line saying, there is probably no chance I'll ever do an Ironman, even though deep inside I was like, you probably will. And I'm here today. So it's, total respect to anyone who puts to stand on that start line, because it's tough. It's going to be tough. Even for the pros, I know they train for that and it's their profession. They still hurt just as much as we're going to hurt. They just obviously do it a lot quicker from that. And just to be, the atmosphere around is buzzing. First time I'll be swimming in the Thames as well. When I've told people, they're like, really, the Thames? And I'm like, yeah, but it's a really nice part of the Thames. It's at Henley. So I'm really excited. I'm really excited, and I can get my life back a little bit as well. I've got 3 kids, and the weekend rides, some of the rides have been getting up to like 5-6 hours, not many of them. I'm good for nothing after that. I'll get back at 1 o'clock, I go off really early, I come back and my boy's like, we're going to play football. And I'm like, you might need to give me a couple of hours, so in that sense. And I said I'd spend a little bit more time with my family. That's the only thing that I've not regretted, but it's taken me time away from my family. But they've understood the challenge and the purpose and what I'm about, because that's what I'm about. I've never had anything easy in my life. I've always made it hard for myself, and that's what I like, the challenge. And the pun Henley challenge as well.
And your family be here tomorrow supporting you?
Yeah, they'll be here tomorrow. My wife's coming up, and my eldest boy. I've got 2 little ones. They're staying with the grandparents because they'll be all over the place, and my wife wants to enjoy and see and everything as well. And I've got a great support team. I've got like 5 of my mates coming up who have been awesome. They've driven me up in the van. The support has been, they're there. They're just going to help me out any way I can. And unfortunately, one of them's actually been ill today on the way up. We were nearly late, and I had to run here because I thought the cut-off time was, the registration was 3. We got caught in traffic, and I'm like, so I said to my mate, it's only a mile. I went, I'll run. So I got in, and they said, oh, we would have waited. And I just went, okay, well, I've run a little bit further than I wanted to. So, but anyway, it's a warm up for tomorrow. So, they'll be here, and my boy's going to run. Yeah, we had something planned for the finish as well, but I won't let on to that. And I did say to him, depending on how I feel and where I'm at, I said, it might not happen, so he'll be at the finish to run through.
Well, I'll be keeping a lookout if there's a pole vault round there. I'm not so sure about you going over the top.
There won't be any poles. No, there won't be any poles. I don't think I'll be able to pick it up. To be honest, from that point. And no, those days have gone. But this is another challenge, and I'm sure, not after, but there'll be another one, and I don't know, maybe come back next year or the year after. I need to take a little bit of time out and let the body recover and stuff. I spent 20 years of battering my body doing pole vault and many surgeries and stuff being put back together. There's a certain point where you need to think, actually, you might need to back off a little bit, Nicky, because you're doing too much. But I'm just really excited. I'm really excited to be here. I'm in one piece, which some of my former athletes, I had a lot of injuries, and they were like, well, you've got to start laying your one piece, which is a great thing. So it's an early start tomorrow, and a long day. It's going to be a long day tomorrow. So I did say to my wife, I said, you better have a beer and a burger waiting for me after this finish. She went, you go for champagne first, and I went, I'll probably be on the floor by that time. So no, it's fantastic. I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, it's great to see your enthusiasm, and I can't wait to see you race, and we wish you all the best.
Might be a little bit different towards the end of my enthusiasm, but I'm going to try. I'm going to smile. I had a tweet from Chrissy Wellington, and mate, it made my day. It made my day. Basically, she'd wrote something on Twitter about motivation, and I said that I'm a former Olympian. Being cheeky, could you retweet this? And she sent me a message, fly high, Nick, and there's some other bits and pieces. And she sent me a picture saying believe, and it's on my Twitter. And I was like, wow. My friend goes, well, you better do well now, didn't you? She probably might be following it. So I'm not going to get near her time, because she's unbelievable. And I just think, an athlete of that caliber, to do that, I'm a random person, really, and she's done that, and I think, oh wow, so that's made my day.
Well, you've got a great supporter there.
Yeah. So maybe I can meet her one day, to one of the events. But no, I've had phenomenal support. You know, I mean, unbelievable support on my Facebook and stuff, and a lot of people root for me, and I know people are going to be watching the live feed. So I did say I have a time in mind. I'm not really going to tell anyone because I don't really want to chase that. The important thing is I get round and, you know, try and make it as enjoyable as possible. And if I get near that time, then that would be great. But you know, and also just to be out there encouraging people as well, because they'll be going through the same thing. You know, and if there's some first timers out there, then yeah, it'd be nice just to meet some people and then talking and stuff.
Well, I'd say you're a great ambassador already for triathlon. So we wish you all the best.
Thank you very much. Cheers. Thanks a lot.